So who gets to be an American? It's a huge question, right? And it's one that has echoed throughout the nation's entire history. Today, we're jumping into a source that unpacks the latest and maybe the most dramatic chapter in this long-running fight, a potential executive order that could rewrite more than 150 years of American law. The source we're exploring imagines how this could all come to a head starting on day one of a new presidency.
So picture this, like it's laid out in the source material. It's Inauguration Day, first day in office for a new president. An executive order gets signed. But this isn't just any order. This one is designed to completely change how we even define American citizenship. And it sets the stage for a legal and social showdown like we've never seen before.
Okay, so what would this order really do? Well, its main goal is to end the automatic granting of citizenship to children born on U.S. soil if their parents happen to be undocumented immigrants. This one action would pretty much light a fire under the whole system, challenging the very foundation of how America defines who its people are.
But here's the thing. This fight is not new, not by a long shot. The source article actually traces this tension all the way back through American history. It shows these surges of anti-immigrant feeling pop up whenever the country's demographics started to shift. So what we're seeing today, it's really just the 21st century version of a very, very old American argument.
When you boil it all down, the entire conflict really comes down to two completely different ideas about where citizenship comes from. It's a clash of legal principles that gets right to the core of what a nation is. Does your belonging come from the lands you were born on or the family you were born into?
So this breaks down into two legal concepts. On one side, you have jus soli, which is Latin for right of the soil. It's simple. If you're born here, you're a citizen. That's been the standard in the U.S. forever, locked in by the 14th Amendment. On the other side, you have jus sanguinis, the right of blood, where you inherit your citizenship from your parents. The change being proposed is a massive pivot from the soil to blood.
So to really get why there's such a big push for this change, the article tells us we have to look at it from the perspective of the border. For a lot of people who support this new policy, the situation feels like a full-blown crisis, one that needs a drastic solution.
And that feeling is being fueled by some pretty big numbers. The source points to 2.6 million unauthorized entries in just 1 year, an undocumented population of over 11 million, and the largest share of foreign-born residents in a century. For a lot of people, these numbers create a powerful sense that the nation has just lost control.
And that sense of losing control often gets expressed with some incredibly charged language. The source highlights quotes like these, which paint immigrants as a dangerous, unwanted group. It frames the debate not just as a legal issue, but as an issue of safety and social decline.
But how well do those claims actually hold up when you look at the broader data? This is where the source makes a big pivot, comparing that powerful rhetoric to what the research on the ground actually shows.
Let's start with that claim that immigrants drive up crime rates. The data presented in the article actually shows the complete opposite. Immigrants, on average, commit fewer crimes than native-born citizens.
And the analysis doesn't stop there. It goes through a bunch of other common claims. The idea that the unauthorized population is surging? Well, according to the source, it's been stable at around 11 million for a decade. That they don't pay taxes? They do, and they actually get far less back in welfare. That they're uneducated? The data shows their education levels are equal to or even better than native-born citizens. The key takeaway here is that there's a huge gap between the perception and the statistics presented in the source.
And on top of all that, when you look at what the public actually thinks, the push to get rid of birthright citizenship isn't a majority view at all. Polling data in the source shows a clear majority of Americans, 52%, are against ending it. Only about a quarter of people are actually in favor.
Okay, now this is where the article gets into a really deep, profound irony. It argues that this policy, which is designed to reduce the undocumented population, could actually do the exact opposite. 4.7 million. According to the source's projections, that's how much the unauthorized population could increase in the coming decades if this policy goes into effect for children born to two undocumented parents. So, how is that even possible?
It sounds completely backwards, doesn't it? How could a policy that's supposed to shrink a population actually make it grow?
Well, the answer lies in this vicious cycle that the policy would kick off.
Let's just walk through the logic that the article presents. Step 1, the order gets signed. Step 2, a child is born in Arizona to undocumented parents. Before the order, that child was an American citizen. Now they're also undocumented. Step 3, this just keeps happening, over and over. And with every single birth, the total unauthorized population gets bigger, not smaller. The source warns this could eventually create a permanent, growing shadow society of millions of stateless people.
So if the data doesn't seem to back up the claims, and the policy could actually backfire in a huge way, then what is this really about? The conclusion the article comes to is that this isn't a debate about economics or crime. It's a debate about culture and identity.
And this cultural anxiety, it isn't new. The source takes us all the way back to 1927, to Donald Trump's own father, Fred. He was arrested at a KKK brawl, and his reported complaints sound, well, pretty familiar. He had this feeling that native-born Protestant Americans were being assaulted, and he demanded one flag and one language. It just goes to show you the deep historical roots of this cultural fear.
This quote really gets to the core of the article's entire argument. For supporters of this policy change, the economic facts, the statistics, they just don't matter as much. What matters is the feeling of a cultural threat, a sense that the country they know and love is changing in a way they don't like. The perception is more powerful than the documented reality. And so we're left with this one final fundamental question. Is being American about buying into a set of ideals, democracy, liberty, rule of law, or is it about your heritage, your ancestry, your blood? This isn't just a legal debate anymore. It's a battle for the very soul of what it means to be an American.